Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you how to get this very festive, very ultra glam makeup look perfect for holiday season, perfect for Christmas parties, perfect for New Year's Eve, and perfect for like Christmas Day if you just want to make, you know, a massive effort with the fam. So if you want to see how to get this look, then keep watching. Okay, so with any eye look, of course, I'm starting off with my soft ochre paint pot from MAC. And then I'm setting that with my MAC mineralize skin finish in the shade Light. I actually bought this thinking this would be a good shade to like set my foundation with. Nope, it is very light, but it is ideal. I like it for setting like the eye area because it sort of brightens everything and gives you a bit of a brow bone highlight before you've started. So it's really good for like every day. So you can kind of skip that step. Okay, so I'm gonna be using mostly my Modern Renaissance palette today. And we're gonna start off nice and slowly with Raw Sienna, which is this shade first here, on the first one on the bottom. And I'm gonna go in quite heavy handed and then just buff out. I'm also, with all of these shadows, I'm gonna be taking them really quite far out and in like a V shape. And the reason for that is that because I have quite hooded eyes, liquid liner or like winged liner does not really do a lot for me. I do still use it occasionally, but it just never really looks as good as I want it to. It never really looks like, you know, people on Instagram and people on YouTube look when they do theirs, put it that way. So, you know, I can do it and I do like a baby wing and it looks fine, but it's never like how I want it to look, just because it does just drag my eye down and not really help me because I have to draw it really flat to avoid going into my hood. So instead of like doing a wing for the sake of doing a wing, what I'm going to do today is wing out my shadows and we'll clean them up. Obviously this isn't how they're going to stay, don't worry, I haven't lost my mind. But I'm just going to bring all these shadows right out and then we're going to make that into like, use that same sort of wing effect but using shadow instead of liquid liner, which is going to sort of give us that nice blown out effect. I'm going to just go into the next shade along, which is the burnt orange shade. And again, going in quite heavy handed, not too worried about making a mess. And I'm just kind of keeping that above the crease, making sure it's coming out into that outer area where we blew out the first shade. And we're just warming up that crease. Now we've got something to blend into. Key to any kind of dramatic eye look is blending until your arm falls off. So now I'm going to go into the Venetian red shade, which is the pinky shade on the bottom row. And I'm going down a brush size now. Don't ask me about this brush, because if I was to tell you it was a Ruby and Millie brush, that might give you a clue as to quite the age of this brush. Just placing that in that outer area and making sure that's coming right out into that winged section and just above my crease and kind of on the outer quarter, I'm gonna say, of my lid. And then I'm gonna go back in with a bit more on my blender brush and blend that out. Getting quite a bit of fallout now, which from this shade, which you can see now is why we did eyes first. I don't really mind having a hood because I feel like you get to hide, like, yes, it would be nice to be able to do a beautiful winged liner without my hood interrupting things, but at the same time I get to hide all my mess, all my blending mess in that hood. And I do have, I know like not everybody's hoods are the same size or shape or whatever, but I have quite a lot of like space above my hood. No, it's not the case for everybody, but that to me is more useful. I can do all kinds of stuff up there. That's all nice and blended. I'm now going to take my next smallest brush, and this is the Zoeva 225, and I'm going to go in with Love Letter, which is the upper pink shade. This is a really nice sized brush for doing like cut creases and things like that, where you just want to apply it real nice and like focused right above the crease, and give yourself that really nice outer V. Just following like the shape of your eye up in that V. And I'm not bringing this in at all, I'm just literally doing this outer V and the outer third of that crease. Once that's all laid down, I'm just gonna really blend all of those edges just to make sure that there is nothing too harsh. Everything is nice and blended. So once I'm finished blending everything out, I'm now going to clear up this mess, get rid of all that fallout. So what you want to do is get a baby wipe or a like makeup wipe, face wipe, and basically following the line of your eye, you're going to sweep up like that, using your nail if you've got one to make it nice and sharp, and just gives you like that winged out effect without any of the time, any of the effort, any of the stress, and without going into your hood. Obviously, if you don't have a hood, you could always skip this. You could just keep your shadow nice and neat and do a wing with liner if that's what works for you. So now for the exciting part. So I'm going to go in using my Stila Eye for Elegance set, and I'm going to use, of course, the gorgeous red shade. I was going to review this set for you guys because I just came through the mail the other day. However, I got it from ASOS and they sent me 2 of the Smouldering Satin shade and none of the peach shade. So these 2 are both Smouldering Satin. So that was quite irritating. However, they were amazing. They sorted it out and they're letting me keep this one and just sending me a new one, which was amazing. So hopefully, if you guys are still interested by the time it arrives, I will review this whole set for you. But I was immediately drawn to this one, being Christmas, which is the next to Notte, I guess it's pronounced. I'm just gonna whack this on my lid. Oh my God's sake, look at that. And obviously because of my hood, again, I'm just gonna try not to like look too high up while I'm like doing this until this is like set, because I don't want too much transfer up onto my lid. So as you guys know, this stuff doesn't particularly blend out well, so you do have to do this as like your last step once you've done everything else. So I'm just trying to like keep looking down. I don't know how I'm going to show you. Just keep looking down with that, like, because once you look up is when your hood folds over. So if you keep looking down, then hopefully you won't get as much transfer. I'm just going to sit like this for a minute or two while this sort of dries down, and that's going to stop it creasing too much and also stop it transferring onto the top of my lids. So we'll just sit here like this for like 5 minutes. Is that cool? This isn't weird at all. So how have you guys been? What have you been up to? So now I'm just going to go in and give myself a bit of a brow bone highlight using Tempera, which is the like, I don't know if it's matte, I guess it's satin shade in the palette, like perfect for your brow bone. I have been watching Desi's tutorial the other week where she said that she'd been to Mario, is it Dodanovich's masterclass, and he had basically said that when you're doing a brow bone highlight, lots of people all bring it all the way down here, guilty, and that you should try and keep it right in like the height of your brow, otherwise it sort of brings your eye down, pulls everything down. So I've been trying to do that, but it's like hard to resist. I also want to bring it all the way over here, but you know, learning. So that's shadow for now, so I'm just going to pop on my Lancome Monsieur onto my lashes. If you've been watching me for a while, you will know that I don't really do lashes, like false lashes, so obviously now would be the time that you'd probably whack those on if that's for you, but they scare me. So I'm going to prime with my Fenty primer because I'm just enjoying it more than any other primer right now. Ooh. I've zoomed you out a little bit now that I've finished with the eyes for now, and I'm going to go on to foundation. Now I really struggle to look past Armani Luminous Silk for like events and nights out and things where there are going to be photos and where there are going to be flashes, because if you don't know, this is like the ultimate foundation for those occasions, because it just will never let you down. You will never get any white cast. It photographs beautifully under flash, under no flash, in the dark, whatever circumstances you're under, this is not gonna let you down. You are not gonna get ghost face in your Christmas party photos. I feel like the downside of this foundation is you do need to use quite a bit to get it up to medium coverage. I'm not trying to get it to be full because I know it's not a full coverage foundation, but I do want it to be medium. I do want it to cover my redness. You do have to use quite a bit of it to get there. I'm struggling today because I had arm day in the gym yesterday and my arms are like really aching right now from all the blending. So moving on to concealer, I'm going to be using my MAC Pro Longwear and just putting that in all the usual places, making sure to be careful of my winged area and just carving that out a little bit. So I'm just going to really slowly press that in underneath that wing, and that's going to carve that out even more, make it even more sharp. Okay, so I'm not going to immediately set that because I'm going to cream contour first, and I just want to make sure I haven't set my nose when I go in with my creams. So I'm going to be using my Charlotte Tilbury contour wand, and I have it in the shade fair to medium, which was probably a mistake. I wish I'd got the darker one, but it's fine. But I do sometimes find like if I blend it too much, it kind of goes to nothing. So I don't like to use my beauty blender with this one. I like to use a brush, because I find like if I use a beauty blender, it blends it like so well that I can't actually see it. So I'm just going in all my usual kind of places, all around my forehead, cheekbones, and I'm also going to take this down the bridge of my nose, which I rarely do contour my nose at all. I don't have like a particularly wide nose. My nose is long, like that's its problem. So it's kind of harder to contour that away than it is like a wider nose, so I don't usually bother, but I do find that in photos, my nose, when I've got like a full face of beat on, like my nose can disappear. So I'm just kind of almost trying to define it rather than actually make it smaller. Beauty of the beauty blender, no pun intended, is that it keeps the product exactly where it is when you're blending, whereas I feel like with a brush, you've got to sort of move the product and then it can kind of end up in places you don't want, so you have to be careful just to kind of blend it where it is, if that makes sense at all to anybody. Who knows? I just put like whatever's left on the chin. Right underneath there. Get rid of any double chin. And then I'm going to use my beauty blender to blend on my nose, because that's where I do want it to be quite subtle. I don't want everyone knowing that I've contoured my nose necessarily. I'm going to set everything down concealer wise with my RCMA No Colour Powder, which I depot into this little thing because I find that a lot easier than dealing with the dreaded RCMA packaging. I don't bake or anything like that, I just don't necessarily find that that does a huge amount for me. I do go quite heavy on my chin and also on my top lip because one, I don't want any oil or like sweat coming through there, and I also want to set my smile lines so that the foundation doesn't soak in there throughout the night. So I do go quite heavy under there, on my nose as well, because that's where I tend to lose my foundation from. It's going from anywhere, it's going from my nose. And then the centre of my forehead to fix that concealer in place, and also to keep any oils, any shine coming through there. Okay, so now I'm just gonna briefly go back to Eyeland, and I'm gonna take the Venetian red shade, which is the second last shade that we used on the top of the eye, and I'm just gonna take a tiny bit of that, making sure I tap off, and I'm gonna run that on the outer half of the eye, just to meet up with that winged area, to make sure that that's all seamless, and then I blend it in to like just about where like the pupil is. I don't want it to come all the way in, because I find that it's quite aging on me, to like bring it into like where my lines are. I kind of keep it on that outer half and blend it in. Next I'm gonna highlight using my MAC Whisper of Gilt, and the reason I'm gonna do this before is because I find like by doing this before like my bronzer and my blush, it makes it like really seamless, but I'm gonna go quite heavy because obviously this is a full glam a day. I just really love this highlight because I just find it's really forgiving on like textured skin. I don't feel like it highlights texture as much as a lot of highlighters do. I think it also works really nicely with my skin tone. It doesn't really add like colour as such. It stays quite sort of neutral on the skin, like you can just sort of see the glow and the sheen, but it's not like adding gold necessarily on top of the cheekbone like I find like Champagne Pop. It is very like a very gold cast to it, whereas this one is a bit more of a almost neutral on the skin. And I'm popping some of that right on that inner corner as well. And again, pop. So I'm going to be bronzing with my MAC Extra Dimension Skin Finish in the shade Glow With It, because I feel like this is a sort of real bronzy shade, as obviously, but as opposed to it being orangey or too warm, this one's kind of neutral toned, or even like leaning a little cool, so it doesn't look as, I guess, I don't know, it's not as much of a contrast I find with some of my more orangey bronzers. This is also a real, obviously it's an Extra Dimension Skin Finish, which in theory is a highlighter, so it's really glowy, it works really nicely with my highlight, and it's just going to give us an extra bit of glow to the skin. So finishing up the face, like I said, it's keeping everything quite nice and neutral on the skin. I'm going to be going in with Nars Madly, which is this gorgeous neutral type of blush, and again it is quite a like satin finish, so it's not sort of mattifying too much, keeping everything nice and luminous on the skin. And this combination with the Glow With It, Whisper of Gilt, and this blush, I find like perfect for a night out, especially if you've got a dramatic eye, because this is all very muted. It's also one of these blushes where you can't like really go in too heavy-handed, so you don't have to worry. Like I'm like so often with a blush when it's like your last kind of step on your skin, you go in and ruin everything that you've just spent hours doing. This one won't let you down. So for lips, I'm gonna go in with a Jeffree Stars Naughty No Shade, because this is Christmas in a liquid lip. Last night I was watching Jeffree's reveal of his like holiday collection. Oh my god. So gorgeous. And this is my favourite liquid lip formula, so I was excited to see the purples. So finally I'm going to go in with my Marc Jacobs setting spray because I find this really does add longevity and it also gives a nice like luminous finish. And I have, at the moment, I'm looking really powdery because of all the powder that's on my face. So I'm just going to go in with this and that'll get rid of that powdery look and set me down. Hair-wise, for this look, I'm gonna go with something really, really simple, which is kind of my go-to when I'm going out because I rarely get a lot of time to do like this kind of makeup and hair as well because children. So yeah, this is like, excuse the mousse, ladies and gents. So I'm just gonna go in with some mousse and I'm gonna run this all through my hair, including the upper sections. And by the way, my hair is like freshly washed. I washed it last night. So it is in that freshly washed state. So I will literally just do this, go through my hair with some mousse. If I've got extra amount of time, which I won't have, then I will also straighten it, but you don't have to. So yeah, so once I've just kind of all swept it all back with that mousse, then I'll just take up the top section like this and back comb using just my little comb. Back comb quite a lot in there and then just sweep it back over the top. And then I just kind of play around with it a little bit. I usually will get something like maybe some bobby pins and just pin it in place just to make sure it stays. But the thing that I really like for keeping this in place is this VO5 Mega Hold, which is a gel spray and it's weather resistant. I like this a lot on holiday when I'm trying to just keep my hair out my face when I'm sunbathing or whatever. Well, I just spray this throughout the whole hair, particularly those roots. And I just find that that makes it like completely like it's gonna stay there until you take it out. So yeah, just play around with it, just keep on adding, do a little bit more back combing if you want. And that is literally what I do for my hair. So I'll just have it kind of all swept back, nice and natural, nice and loose. And that kind of like softens the quite strong makeup look, I find. I forgot to go in with the tight line on my upper lash line, so I'm just going to do that quickly. Very important to keep that lash line dark. Okay, so that is it for this like a very vampy, very glamorous look for like Christmas, New Year's parties, full on glam, lots of berry tones, really, really pretty, really happy with this turnout. If you did like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe before you go so I can see you again. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye, 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 bye.